Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's obviously Monday, Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I hope you guys are having a great night tonight. We're going to cover a couple of stories. Hive is obviously reporting their Q3 earnings tomorrow. They're going to have a conference call on that as well in the morning. They're going to release the earnings report, I believe, later on tonight, early in the morning. Sometimes they do that. So that'll be out. If I see anything interesting in the morning, I'll post it on Twitter, so you can follow me there. And then we're going to talk a quick story on Bitcoin as well, see what the potentials for Bitcoin with all the turmoil that's in the world right now with Russia and everything else and the interest rates going up. So we'll look at that. And then we'll obviously look at the miners, and Bitcoin's hash rate has been going up as well. So we'll look at that as well. So as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research, please. Don't fall for scams. Spam posts get reported and deleted. And I'm invested in the following companies. So let's get into the stocks here. So Argo was actually up today, 3.76% to 96.5 cents. Bitfarms was down 1% to 386, and Bitfarms is bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, so it's acting kind of like support right now for it. CleanSpark was down 1.03% to 861. It is bouncing off of the 50-day moving average, which is now kind of like its resistance, so we'll see if it can muster the strength to get above it. And then we got Core Scientific. Core Scientific was down 3.04 to 989. Excuse me. And it is right now trading below the 50-day moving average, and we'll see if it can stay above the 20-day moving average going forward. We got DigiHost. DigiHost was down 6.33% to $3.70, and it is trading between the lines here. It's below the 20-day moving average, but it was above the 50-day for a little bit today, but it has fallen down below it. And we got DMG. DMG was down 8.15% to 47 cents, and it is below the 20-day moving average as well, so that's not a good sign as well. Hive is down today 3.85% to $2, and it is up 3 cents in the after hours, 1.5%. And right now we have the 20-day moving average acting kind of as support here. It's a little bit below it right now, so we'll see if it can, depending on how the report tomorrow morning, we'll see if the stock bounces or if it falls further. We'll also look at to see what I have them set at, then we'll see how close I get to that number as well. And then we got Hut 8 was down 3.37% to 689. After hours, it's up basically 7 cents to 696. And it is also fallen below the 50-day moving average here. We'll see if it can sustain support at the 20-day moving average going forward. Then we got Iris Energy was down 4.6 to 1410. And we can see that it is above the 50-day moving average here. So that is kind of acting like support for it right now. And then we look at Marathon. Marathon was down 5.12% today, and it got rejected by the 50-day moving average here 2 days ago. And we are getting close to the 20-day moving average, so we'll see if this stays where it's at. It's obviously up 18 cents in the after hours to 25.73. And then we got Mawson. Mawson was down 3.5% today to 441, and it is below the 20-day moving average as well. So it is now acting as resistance for it. And then Riot, we got down 2.45% to 1792. And it's up 19 cents in the after hours, 1.06%. And it is trading between the 20 and 50-day moving averages as well. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Here's what I want, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin within the last hour has shot up quite nicely here, as we can see here, from 42,500 roughly, almost basically $1,000 in 1 hour, which is crazy. But it has been bouncing off of the 50-day moving average here, the green line that you can see here, and it's been playing as resistance for it here. You can see it touched, went above it a little bit, came back down below it, touched it here a couple of times, touched it here, and then finally was able to break through and above it right now. So we'll see if what happens going forward. Obviously RSI is pretty high at 70, so we're getting close to the oversold, so we may have a pullback on the hourly chart if we look at it. And right now I don't see anything else happening on it. Otherwise, let me see here. The last time we were at this RSI cycle was back here, and we were obviously higher, so that's not a good sign. So we do have a downtrend in the price, but we do have a flat line almost in RSI being high. So not a good sign there. Also, the 20-day moving average, the red line here, is moving up. So we'll see if that plays as support going forward or if we fall below it. If we fall below, we're going to the green line, which is our next support line of 40,600 or so. So we'll see how that one plays out. Let's take a look at Ethereum here really quick. Ethereum also pumped really hard, so I wonder what happened that these are pumping so hard within the last hour. I haven't seen anything in the news. Just checked the news here a little while ago, but we'll take a look at, see what we can find out and report on it tomorrow. But obviously, yeah, I mean, Ethereum was doing the same thing, was bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, and it was acting as resistance, finally broke above it. So at least we're breaking above it, so that's a good sign. We'll see how long we can maintain that. And if we look at the blockchain hash rate here for Bitcoin, these are the raw values on the 1 year. We can see we had a huge peak here on, when was that? February 11th at 248 million. So that was a huge increase. So somebody turned on a lot of miners within the last couple of days here to get that up. It's obviously come back down. So I wonder if somebody was testing something, but that still would have been a lot of miners getting turned on. On the 7-day average, we can see that we've reached a new high as well, 201 million. And then the 30-day, we can see it's just a straight line going up. And we are at 193 million for the 30-day average on that. So we're continuing to go up, obviously, in Bitcoin price, and not Bitcoin price, but the hash rate continues to go up. And I think a lot of times what happens with the hash rate is it acts as a catalyst for Bitcoin price moving forward. We'll see if it stays that way this time around or not. All right, let's get into our first story here. We'll take a look at Hive, and then we'll look at the outlook for Bitcoin here as well. So Hive obviously reports that they're going to provide the results tomorrow, Tuesday, February 15th of 2022. So Hive announces that management will host a webcast on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time to discuss the company's financial results for the 3 and 9 months ended December 31st, 2021. Financial data for the quarter will be released prior to the webcast. The company urges investors to sign up today and participate in the webcast. We'll see if they actually do take any questions. In the past couple webcasts, they didn't take any questions from investors or institutions, so we'll see if that happens this time around or not. And let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them for the end of Q3. So if we scroll down here, I have them at 47.6 million. This includes Ethereum and Bitcoin mining. We'll see how close I am. I'm not so sure that the Ethereum's gonna be that close to it. That's always my Achilles heel with Ethereum mining. And the other issue is obviously that I was using the quarterly end of the quarter Bitcoin price, which it wasn't that accurate. So I've switched that going forward to basically calculating each month what they're going to be making. This is going to make it a lot more accurate going forward. So if I'm within 5 to 7.5% of this number, I'm going to be happy. Obviously, hoping to be a lot closer to maybe within 1% to 2.5% with the new numbers. So that's the goal for this year, is to get as accurate data as possible for you guys and for myself. And what else can I tell you? So that's it. That's pretty much Hive. We'll see what the results are tomorrow. I'm hoping they're going to have a good quarter. We'll see what their expenditures were like, everything else. See if they have any guidance going forward for this year. See if there's going to be any stories on them, possibly adding more miners to get above the hash rate that they have announced right now, which is supposed to be, future hash rate is supposed to be around 4 exahash. And obviously we're seeing a lot more companies going above 10 exahash. So we'll have to see how this plays out, see if they can get some more miners, maybe announced for maybe not the end of this year, but for 2023 or something like that. Or if they can buy some opportunity buys here when obviously the miners are down a little bit in price because Bitcoin's down in price. So that's it for that one. Let me know what you guys think of the numbers here. Obviously 47.6 million, still a great quarter. The second quarter was really good, 15 million. And then so obviously a little bit down in price because Bitcoin's been down a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get pretty close to 50 million as well for the third quarter. Excuse me. All right, so let's take a look at the other story here that we have. So here's the outlook for Bitcoin as geopolitical tensions heat up and interest rates rise. So we'll go through this relatively quickly. I'll provide you guys with my thoughts on it. So the Bitcoin narrative could be tested this week as investors monitor tense development between Ukraine and Russia. So there's been some talks that Russia may invade Ukraine this weigh the possibility of the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates by 50 basis points or 0.05% points in March. I think this is almost a done deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they do 50. I would be surprised if they do 0.75. But we'll see obviously what the CPI data is like for February this month. So the currency has long been regarded by investors and enthusiasts as a safe haven asset, one that ideally could offset risk and limit exposure to negative stocks. That's kind of what the narrative has been in the past. Recently, we're seeing it be more in control of large institutions and large investors. We've seen what appears on-chain data showing that retail investors have been moving off of Bitcoin and into other stocks, such as, not stocks, but other coins that are, with the possibility of going 5,000x instead of Bitcoin going up 2 or 3x or something like that. So that's where we're kind of seeing that shift in Bitcoin. However, in recent months, Bitcoin has been trading like equities, especially like riskier growth-oriented stocks. So that's where we're getting the correlation with the institutional players, betting on Bitcoin now more so than the retail. Bitcoin is labeled by some as a stateless currency, and it has indeed performed well in the past when there were geopolitical tensions. So we could expect some demand as a safe haven asset, said Yaya Hasguava. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm sorry. Crypto market analyst at Japanese Bitcoin exchange Bitbank. However, the change in the landscape made Bitcoin fragile to the U.S. stock market volatility. So Bitcoin investors may not be able to feel at ease until the situation at Russia-Ukraine border starts to settle down, he added, which I agree. We'll have to see how that plays out. And then with the rising rate environment, tech and growth stocks could remain in a chokehold for a while. That means if this is crypto winter, a term that refers to extended bearish period, it could last for several months more. And that is obviously a possibility here. We'll see how this plays out. We've obviously been in a bear, 4 months now, basically being down from the all-time high back in November, October-November timeframe. So here's a quote. If we are in a bear market, we'll see another 8 or 9 months of sideways to down movement, which is an opportunity for the tourist to leave the market and the real players to continue building this technology, said Chris King, CEO and founder of Eaglebrook Advisors. And I agree with that. We've always seen this. Obviously, weak hands, paper handing, and two hodlers, basically strong hands buying it. So we'll see. Kate Stockton, founder of Fairlead Strategies, said a resistance level of 46,700 should remain intact this week. Support is near 37,360, but Bitcoin doesn't look in store for the near-term test yet. I don't think we're going to go down that far that quickly in this week. It may take a while, but we may see a pump up in price as well. Bitcoin has experienced only one crypto winter before. This is incorrect. Every time we had a cycle where we've had a halving event, we've seen a crypto, basically a bear market afterwards, after a certain period of time. They're saying in 2018, its price crashed by about 80% from its then all-time high, which was around 20,000. We went down to the low of 3,000 something. The market has evolved significantly since then. It has, so we'll have to see how this market plays out this time around. Like I said, we do have a lot more institutional investors in it. We have also a lot more companies investing in it. Tesla, MicroStrategy. We have all the miners holding all the coins. So there's a lot more money being held in Bitcoin than it has before, where before it was mostly retail that was pushing the price up and then obviously falling down. So we'll see how that plays out. So low periods are a time for the industry to clean up and build the infrastructure and applications that will make it easier for the next wave of newcomers in the next bull market. Between decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, the metaverse, and more, there's plenty of interest in new sectors of crypto that go beyond Bitcoin, and I agree with that. Use cases in adoption are burgeoning, said Rodrigo Vicuna, Chief Financial Officer at Prime Trust. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of where a lot of the blockchains are going. I agree with that as well. We're still in the very early stages here of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and BlockFi. This is still like the early days of the internet. So here's another quote. We're very long DeFi in some of our strategies, King said as an example. DeFi is still speculative. The infrastructure is still being built. It is still clunky and hard to use. Bitcoin 2013 through 2016 was hard to buy, but companies like Coinbase and Gemini made it easier. DeFi needs that on-ramp to improve it and make it less speculative. It just takes time. And I agree with that. DeFi is still in the early stages. Obviously, I think it was the SEC that filed a fine against BlockFi, $100 million for offering their, their lending, right? So you could make pretty good interest rates on the money or the coins that you lent out, basically. So a lot of banks were against it because they were just paying out a lot more than banks were paying out. So they had to slap them on the wrist for doing it. So hopefully we can get the regulations in place where we can have those kind of products available to investors, but we'll see. What else do we have here? Bitcoin itself hasn't found its killer app yet. That is the feature that makes it indispensable. King said, but increasing adoption will get it there. I agree with that as well. We do need it to be faster transactions, less fees, things like that. The most important thing that we follow and look at both from a short and long-term perspective is adoption. And then that's the same thing I'm kind of looking into it as well. Continued quote here. It's really all that matters, King said. Like Facebook, Instagram, and Uber, he said, hype around these assets and the price going up led to more users joining the network, which is ultimately what we care about with Bitcoin. And I would agree with that to a certain extent as well. You want adoption, you want use cases, you want, we want to get smart contracts on Bitcoin as well. There's a lot of stuff that's still happening in the infrastructure build out of Bitcoin itself. So it's exciting times that we're in. Obviously, this is still the beginning. I think this is a great opportunity to get in if you haven't already. You don't need a full Bitcoin. You can buy a couple of Satoshis, right? So that's where we stand with Bitcoin. I think it's going to be choppy waters going from here. We'll have to see, obviously, the rate hikes, what happens with Russia, and just in general sentiment in the U.S. Congress with cryptocurrencies and everything else. See if we get some regulations that make sense for us and for the broader market in general. So that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day. Jeez. Thanksgiving was way back. But I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day. Hope you had a great weekend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm going to be posting another round of votes or a poll for the next miners. So this is going to be bracket number 2, and then we're going to take the top 2 miners that were voted on each bracket, put them together, and then we'll vote on the one that you guys want me to cover next, basically. So that's going to be happening later on today. I'll get that done. I'll take the numbers from the previous poll, and then we'll go from there. But otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have, obviously, the Hive numbers, and I think also we have Mawson providing their January updates tomorrow as well. So that's going to be exciting to see. And then we can do the miner versus miner as well. So, all right, that's it. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, notification bell, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's all I ask from you guys. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.